Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wilde, and welcome to the spaces between. Hope you guys are having just a good day. Oh, goodness. It is dark in here. Not that that's all bad because, well, I've got chaos in the background. But, when do I not have chaos in my world? I think you guys know that. And we're just going to leave it kind of like that so you don't see all of the chaos. Because, yeah. Remodeling projects, yeah, they are a thing. They really, really are. And they really, really are. So yeah, coffee. Yeah. And so that's actually why I wanted to talk today about consistency because yeah, how do you be consistent? Oh boy, howdy. Uh, Slouch, take a deep breath because wow, how? Um, so it's hard to be consistent in anything that we do, right? And it doesn't matter what we're doing, honestly, because if we are doing the things right, seriously, uh, like I'm trying to think, like for instance, if we are doing discipline for our kiddos, or trying to show that we're disciplined, or discipline, like going to the gym on a regular basis, for instance, trying to be consistent on that. It can be hard if you get sick, for instance, and you just run out of oomph and suddenly you don't go all the time, and it's hard to go back, right? Or disciplining the kids, making sure you're consistent no matter who the child is or what they're doing. So you've got the same level of discipline through all of them, which is hard because you change and your parenting style changes through all of the kiddos. Trust me, that one's hard too. It really is because, yeah. And yes, it is hard. And then it can also be difficult because we are just, what are we doing? What are we doing all the time, right? What are we doing? And so how do we stay with that consistency, right? And because of that difficulty, and trying to maintain that level of um, levelness, right? Or attitude, or maybe it's with your coworkers, maybe you're a supervisor or a manager and you want to have that same level of consistency from one individual to the next, which I know can be difficult because sometimes there's always that one or two people that you like more than the others, or maybe it's less. I know. I've been there. I get it. I get it. It's hard, right? So how do we work that into our spiritual practices? And it's not just within the pagan community, it's throughout all spiritual practices, right? Because when we're out there and we're doing, so often in our society today, at least here in the US, it's go, 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 go. We've always got something. Little Johnny's got this, little Jane has that, little Tommy has this over there, and then little Eddie has that over here, and then, oh my golly, I've got PTA conferences or meetings or PTO or whatever. No, PTA now. I don't, so I'm not worried about it. 4-H maybe, which I do sometimes, or parent-teacher conferences, or work meetings, or this or that. And it always seems like there's always something, always, always, always. And it's hard, then suddenly we're eating standing up over the sink in the middle of the night because, hey, I haven't eaten today, or it's been coffee and a granola bar or yogurt. And then people are wondering, like, well, why don't I feel good? Because your diet sucks, honey. That's why. or it's fast food, in the car. And that's what we're teaching our kids, to not slow down and take a minute. And that's not good either. And then we're like, why am I just not feeling connected with my spiritual life? Why am I not feeling that connection with the gods? Why am I feeling lost with my divine practice? Why are my spirit guides not talking to me? Well, maybe they are. Maybe they're trying to go, wake up, wake up. And you're just not hearing it because you're stumbling through life in a constant state of chaos, right? Because, well, we all have it. We all have that overwhelming sense of, well, boy, howdy, we've got too much going on. And so even though I'm not, okay, I say I'm not into AI, but I have been using this Google AI thing a lot. Mixed feelings. On the one hand, it feels like a cheat, but on the other hand, it does some things up real handy. And I did one just for how to stay consistent in my spirituality and how to stay consistent in my pagan spirituality, and they're actually quite different. So yes, there is some biases there. We'll just leave it at that. And that's unfortunate because they're very similar, honestly. The only thing different is the gods on it. And there's a lot that we can take from both places and apply to our spirituality and our spiritual life that is applicable regardless of who we are. And mostly, and there's an irony here. So before I get into this, I do want to apologize for not being on Thursday like I am trying to be. But life in the pursuit of happiness. Locally, I ran for mayor. I did not win. Not mayor. City council. I ran for city council. I did not win, unfortunately. But it was fun. I learned things, and it was a good time. It's interesting. It was interesting. You learn things about things, and but that's okay. If you don't try, you don't learn, right? And I learned, so that was good. And then, so moving on to my next project, right? I feel like I am always doing something, so I'm always busy. And if you slow down and you stop being busy, then what? Well, me, I take a nap, and napping, while good, just kind of puts a halt to everything. So, excuse me. Goodness. And so, yes, I don't necessarily want to slow down very much because I don't necessarily want to nap because I don't get anything done when I nap. And it is about that time of the year here in the North Idaho where everything slows down anyways. And so I still have projects lined up to keep me busy. One of those is the kitchen. The kitchen needs help. So does the living room, and we're working on it as a team. Cheers. So yes, teamwork is often work. So anybody who tells you that teamwork makes the dream work has never actually been a functional part of a team. So stop and think about that for a minute. Because if you're not a functional part of the team, you don't know how much work goes into being part of a team. And all they've done has been the pushy person, and has been either the one full of ideas, or they've never shown up to do any of the work. So, many thoughts for the day. Anyways, yeah, my kitchen is currently spread out all over the house, and it's driving me insane. And am I making a lot of noises right now? Yes, because that's where my brain goes, leaves, deposits, sits at rest. Any of those noises, because Yeah, that's where my brain is whenever I try to do anything in the kitchen, because I have about 4 total square feet of kitchen space to do food prep, cook, and do dishes right now. And it is driving me nuts. Yeah. So, remodeling in a kitchen takes perseverance. It does make the dream work. You just got to be patient and understand that it is not a fast process, and understand that if you have a partner in doing this, you cannot do it all on your own, and you cannot bully anybody into doing it your way. And 15-inch cabinets on uppers are actually a good idea, but they're a bad idea on the bottom, because you have to have some place to put your things. So, back to what we were doing. Consistency. Irony, because I wasn't here on Thursday. Trying to do better, I promise. Even if it's just a short video, I'm trying to do better. So, how do we be more consistent in our daily spiritual lives? It's a good question. Because some of that consistency in our spiritual life is actually just straight up consistency in our lives, right? And when we're looking at what it is we can do, some of it is just integrating that spiritual thought process into our day to day lives, right? And it's not necessarily just, taking this thing, this practice, this big, huge thing, connecting with the divine, and saying, oh, I have to do it on this day and I have to only do it on this day. No. Oh, honey, it's not that kind of relationship. Regardless of your tradition, regardless of your spiritual path, spirituality can be broken down into multiple things and multiple ways. It's more integrated into your daily life than that. Pardon me. For instance, when you make your cup of coffee, or tea, or cocoa, set your intention as you're making your cup of coffee. Often, it is something as simple as the way you stir your cup. If you do, do you infuse your drink with good health, with joy, abundance, longevity? And if you're making a cup of coffee, or fixing a cup of tea for someone else, or hot cocoa, do you do any of those things? Do you set the intention? I hope this makes them feel good. It's like making a cup of soup for your child if they're sick, or fixing them a cup of hot cocoa if they're coming out of a cold. Sorry, my pets are learning things today. And so as you set that intention, because you want, as your excuse me, yes, awaken is very layered, quantum gospel. You're setting your intention, and you hand off with the cup. You're wanting them to feel better. You're hoping that it makes them feel good, warms them up. It gives them comfort. Or if someone's having an illness and you give them a cup of tea with some honey in it, you hope that it soothes their throat. You're giving them something to help soothe something, or put them at ease, or something like to that effect, right? How often, if you go to a wake or a funeral or something to that effect, and the grieving family is there, and someone brings something to them, like a cup of tea, plate of food, that kind of thing, and the idea is you're hoping that it soothes them, it eases them, right? Similar thought process. You're giving something to them with the thought process that it eases the pain or the transition. Very similar. You're setting that intention and you're giving it to someone else. It's that setting of intention is part of your spiritual practice. I put water in my water bottle in hopes that my thirst will be satiated. When I go take a shower or something like that, or bathe, I'm washing myself of dirt to make myself clean, because sometimes I do things that make myself dirty, like trying to renovate the kitchen or clean out the rabbit pens, that kind of thing. When I am doing that, I'm also, before I start scrubbing away, I set my intention, right? It's like I'm going to cleanse myself of negative thoughts, of things that are holding me back. I try to set the intention that of things that are just going to prevent me from achieving my goals. And then as I'm rinsing the soap away, it's like, oh, look at all that negative stuff that I'm just rinsing down the drain, right? It's going to be great. And then as I'm drying off, it's like, whoop, everything's great. And then when I put lotion on or something, every time I put lotion on my arms, because I have eczema, so I have some lotion that I have to put on. And when I do that, it's like, hey, every time I put this on, I'm going to be healed. It's going to make me better. It's going to be blah. And because I've set that intention as part of my daily activities, or my activities in general, it's become part of my spiritual practice. Yes. Quantum Gospel says water holds memory. Science has recently proved this much. We are mostly water, therefore our intention forms our day-to-day. Absolutely. And it's that thought process. It's so, 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 so important. That's why when it comes to like our thought processes and our self-talk, for instance, we only hear in 2D. We don't hear like the emotion behind words. We only hear the words. So if you say, ha, ha, I'm such a silly goose, I'm such a jerk, ha, 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 they don't, our body doesn't hear that, our brain doesn't hear that. They just hear, I'm a jerk. And our body and our brain and our consciousness, our subconscious says, oh, I guess I am. What everybody's been saying about me is real. I must believe it. And it becomes this snowball effect. And we believe those things because we've said it to ourselves. Well, don't say that. I'm not saying you have to stand in front of your mirror and look at yourself in the eye and say, hey, I'm an awesome person 10 times. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, instead of being self-deprecating and saying I'm less than something or someone else, just say, well, don't say those things. Just say, I'm good enough. I am as good as. I can do those things. Yes, I am. Just the self-talk is so important. Don't say I'm stupid, because you're not. Each and every one of you is as important as the next person. You are, each and every one of you, smart enough to do exactly what you need to accomplish in everyday life. I don't know what it is you need to accomplish. I'm just saying you can do it. I don't know how you're going to do it, but if you tell yourself you can, you will figure it out. And by golly, sometimes maybe that's what you need to say to yourself is, I will figure this out. And then figure it out. That's problem solving 101, kids. You need to figure it out sometimes. So sometimes you need to sit down and meditate. Sometimes you have to pray about it. And when I say pray, I don't mean like sit down, fold your hands, and offer up petitions. Because, hold on. I want to see what the Dr. Google says. Define pray. Define pray. Pray is address a solemn request or expression of thanks to a deity or the other object of worship. All right. Used as a preface or polite request or instructions. Generally, address a solemn request or expression of thanks to a deity. I can actually accept it as an expression of thanks or a request to a deity or to the divine. So Quantum Gospel says, exactly, I did it through divine order. I define that choosing love or forgiveness, understanding, gratitude with every day in every situation. Yes. And this is how you change your frequency and actual vibration. Absolutely. You have to choose some things. If you choose to be an angry asshole, by golly, that's exactly what you're going to be. If you say, I'm just a grumpy old curmudgeon, you are. If I'm just an asshole and that's all everybody says I am, you are. If you say, oh, I'm a pretty okay guy, you are. Now, there are situations where you're lying to yourself, and a lot of those folks are narcissists who, well, they're pretty good at lying to everybody. Um, that's just all there is to it. Those are just different people altogether. So they're a little harder to. Those are a little harder to fix, and those are the people who think there's nothing wrong with them. So the people who say, you know what, I admit that there's some things that I could change about myself, and this is what I'm going to do to fix them. That's why goal posters. I'm a big believer in goal posters, actually. It's like, you know what, I have these goals I want to achieve this year. Or I have this really big goal I want to achieve, and these are my little breakout steps on how to do it. And that's what you do. Sometimes that's exactly what you got to do. So prayer is, offering up thanks to the divine or the deity. So most of the old gods don't really require worship. They require a relationship. Different ships. As my daughter would say, they require different ships. How are you shipped? And when it comes to that kind of a relationship, it's one of communication ship, if you will, a give and take. And yes, there are offerings occasionally. Yes, there is communication, a give and a reception. Now, are you going to get all of the things you ask for? No. And honestly, you don't want all of the things you ask for. Stop and think about it. If you look back in your life and all of the things you've prayed for or wished for or hoped for, what if you had received all of them? Now, I know your life would be totally different than it is today, right? Totally different. But would you be the same person you are today? I wouldn't be. And I'm actually really okay with who I am today. Would I still be okay with myself if I had gotten any of those things that I would wished for, hoped for, prayed for, that I didn't receive? I don't know. I knew it took some work to get me to where I am today. So I'm pretty okay with this. Am I still kind of a hot mess some days? Yeah. Do I still need to work on some things? Sure. But guess what, though? That's part of growing. If I don't bump into some things and have to fix a few things once in a while, not necessarily doing it right. Because if you don't bump into some stuff and have like some things go sideways once in a while, are you really doing it right? So meditation may be a better word than prayer, because you're taking a deep breath, you're focusing your energies, and you're trying to figure out, just taking that deep introspective look. Where are you connected? Are you connected with yourself? Is yourself connected with the earth? Are you grounding out that negative energy? Are you releasing it out into the world? Quantum says, once you find self, you truly know yourself free of identity. You look back and see you actually didn't want most or any of what you used to wish for. Isn't that the truth? There's some things that I look back and, wow, I was an idiot for wishing for that. Garth Brooks, that unanswered prayer song that he has. Boy, does some of those lyrics just resound. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. So, meditation, breath work, intentional breathing. Intentional breathing is a big, powerful thing. If you don't believe me, look it up. There are some experts out there on intentional breathing. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. Yes, that's a good way to give you some energy. Oh, like nobody's business. It's a good thing. You can do divination for yourself. Tarot cards, rune work, pendulums. any of that. You can also just build relationships with your deities and spirits by offering that prayer to the deity, offering up that introspective connection, whether it's a thankful or asking for something. Generally, it's a thankfulness. Apologies. Um, we have a new kitten in the house, and the dogs are trying to decide who's the mom, which is amusing. Um, but you can also give offerings to the divine, and actually, regardless of your spiritual path, that offering for the divine is something that is very, very good. And even if you are a follower of any of the Abrahamic traditions, you can still give an offering at home, or you can go to the church or the synagogue or what have you to give that offering. Not necessarily every day, of course, but you can light a candle and with the fire, send up that petition or that offering. Um, uh, it's still something that can be done. Um, and I say that because a lot of times we need that connection to the divine, and we need it because it helps to ground us. Excuse me. And it helps us to see sometimes those signs and those connections with the divine around us. Not everybody has a direct connection to the divine. Not everybody has a patron deity. Um, you'll see a lot of folks in the TikTok world or in the Reddits or okay, I don't know all the social medias. I'm just a Gen Xer online, right? So there's a lot of different social media platforms out there where people will say that they have this connection to the divine. They do this and they do that and they do this and they do that. Excuse me. And honestly, not everybody does. Hold, please. Can you bring me beans?
Yes.
Thank you. And because not everybody has the connection to the divine, sometimes you just need to connect with your spiritual awareness. And sometimes it's your spirit guides that are connecting with you rather than the divine itself. And that is fine. So when you're meditating and you're reaching, it's not necessarily your connection to the divine that's happening, it's your connection with your spirit guides or the collective unconscious, just the spirit world out there. Sometimes it's your ancestors. And honestly, wouldn't it be better if your ancestors were connecting with you rather than your the divine? Because who's not going to be more connected with you or have more of a vested interest in you than your ancestors? I mean, you are the sum of their creation, right? They would have the more vested interest. So on the day to day. All right. So yes, it's a fluffy beans. So brief interruption. It's a beans. It's a fluffy beans. Beans. Yes, you can hardly see beans because beans is black fluffy beans. I'll try to put beans in their video better at some point. Beans is a new addition. So when we're trying to find our spirituality or connect with our spirituality, we definitely do need to make sure that we are not over assuming who we're connecting with. Because absolutely 100%, we are not always going to be connecting with the divine. We will often be connecting with our ancestors because those are who are truly vested in our our future and our present. Uh, so as we're um, Yes, beans. Beans was advertised as a bag of beans because some places you can't put beans, cats. And anyways, beans was apparently abandoned right about Halloween because beans is, of course, black. And shame on beans for being black and a cat. People. I swear it's a 4-letter word. So, what else can you do? Well, you can journaling. Journaling is a great way to stay connected with your spiritual practice. Write things down. Absolutely. Uh, dream diaries, divination diaries. They can be the same diary, honestly. But journaling things, how you're feeling about certain things, day-to-day events, what you're seeing in the news. Honestly, there's some stuff in the news that are just driving me kind of insane because, yeah, that stuff is, yeah, some of it is BS. Uh, as a conservative, I'm saying some of that stuff is BS. Yep. Do moon rituals. You don't have to save your rituals just for the full moon because there's new moon rituals, there's quarter moon, half moon, crescent moon, uh, any phase of the moon. I'm not going to tell you what they are because, hey, if you're on here, you can probably find them on your own. And that leads to the next thing. You can make your own Book of Shadows, honestly. Now, I get that a lot of folks are still in the pagan pantry. The pagan pantry, what is it? The broom closet, the witch and kitchen, however you want to put it. Basically, you don't feel comfortable putting it out there that you are doing the things because you are more of the pagan family, or feel like you're more of a witch and your family is like, WTF. I thought you were not going to do that around us. Yes, Quantum says, I've been telling people, don't think too hard about this. Meditation, prayer, connecting, whatever. Don't put it in a box. It doesn't have to look sitting cross-tagged or cross-legged, eyes closed. Yeah. You can meditate while walking, doing the dishes. I wouldn't recommend doing it while driving a car. While a passenger in the car, yes. Passenger on a train, yes. You can be talking to yourself out loud, journaling, art, writing, sitting in nature, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do not recommend while driving the car, but yeah, working out, jogging. Oh, yes. Connecting with nature. Go for a walk, hug a tree. Seriously, hug a tree. I've done this. When I have been so emotionally distraught at something, I have gone out and hugged a tree. It wasn't because I was feeling, in my vernacular of my father, artsy fartsy. It was because I just really needed to let some energy go. It was either that or I was going to lose my temper in a big way. We didn't want to do that. Nope. So, yeah. And you can create a sacred space. It doesn't have to be like, ooh, this is my sacred space, and it's because I'm a pagan. You can say, hey, this is my space. This is where my quiet corner where I want to read my books. This is my space where this is my stuff. Just leave it alone, guys. You don't have to explain something. This is kind of the joys of being a grown-up. You don't have to explain yourself. Now, if you do, you can say, well, this is just where I want to be able to read my books and have my cup of coffee and put my feet up. Just my timeout corner. I gotta tell you, as a grown-up, I want a timeout corner. Seriously. Sign me up. I want the timeout corner. Put a rocking chair there. Oh, rocking. Staring at a fire. Excellent place to meditate. I think folks that sit on a porch in a rocking chair, staring at the rain, staring at the water, staring at people going by, reading a book, drinking coffee, drinking tea, doing anything. That's fantastic. Do it. So, yeah. And, yeah, seriously. So, yeah. And when people say set up your altar, it does not have to be Pinterest worthy. It could be something simple. It could be a terrarium in a jar. That could be your altar. Nobody would know. If you have 4 elements in there, I mean, air is going to be in there because, well, air is everywhere. You have earth in there because, well, hey, you want your plants to grow somewhere, right? You have moisture in there because your plants are going to have to grow, right? Right? Um, Earth, water, air. Can't really have fire in there as its own element, but you can have a representation of fire, right? So you could put like a battery operated candle that you can turn on and off. Yes. Or you could have a light in there that you just have to turn on anyways. Yeah, because it needs light to grow. Maybe. Something like that. Why not? And then it doesn't look like an altar, but hey, guess what? It is. It looks like, oh, hey, you have a terrarium on your desk. How cool is that? And it fits all the things, but it blends in, right? So sometimes, even though you're trying to keep your spirituality under your hat, if you will, you can still have it and still do the things without having to share it with the world. And so if you stop and think about that, as we're heading into the holiday seasons, whether you're doing Yule or Christmas, you can give those types of things as gifts if you know someone who is in the broom closet or in the pagan pantry or is kitchen witching. You can do any of those things, right? So you can also, join a community or build a community of like-minded people. Sometimes people just meet for coffee. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, me and the girls are just getting together for coffee today. Oh, okay, we'll have fun. Join a book club. Oh, I'm joining a book club. We're just meeting at the library. Oh, cool. What kind of books are you reading? Oh, just cookbooks. I don't know. But that kind of thing. There are ways to get around what you need to do if you need to keep it under your hat still, or wear it loud and proud. It seems to be that we're kind of in an age where, yes, there are things that we can be loud and proud about, like our spirituality. Some things, not as much, depending on where you're at, yes. But regardless, study and learn. Learn through books, learn through apps, go online, join online communities. You know what? I read a lot of books in my Kindle on my phone. And you know what? There's a lot of books on here that nobody else reads because they're all in my own personal little library. They're not in a family library. And there's a lot of apps that you can have on your phone that nobody else has access to. Honestly, if they're fingerprint accessible or they have a pinned access, it's any of those things. Honestly. And a lot of, man, it's frustrating when I see people who are just having a hard time connecting with their spirituality in any walk of faith, because the spiritual path that they're on shouldn't be hampered by commercialism. It shouldn't be hampered by dogma. It shouldn't be hampered by people. It shouldn't be hampered by gatekeeping. We have so many resources available to us just by going online that you have to, or we shouldn't have to go through and block ourselves from those around us. Quantum says it's sad that we feel that we need to hide at first, but it's okay, guys. It's normal. Just know that if you continue your journey, you will no longer hide, and the ones you hide from will remove themselves. Oh, and that's just the truth. And they will remove themselves from your life. If for no other reason than because you will start becoming the person that you're meant to be, and your vibration, your energy will change, and it'll be discordant, if you will, from those other people. And it'll be like your melody, your personal melody, your harmony is different from theirs. And so when your harmony changes, their harmony doesn't match yours anymore. And those two different melodies no longer mesh. And if you are strong in yours, they will feel compelled to go away. And I think there's a lot to be said about this, the tones, the melodies, and using that harmony and speaking to it in a musical sense. So Anne McCaffrey is one of my favorite authors, and she's written a variety of books. One of them was Crystal Singer, I think it was, and there's like several books in the series. And it's interesting in that the main character has perfect pitch and has the vocal range of like an opera singer. And the singer goes, there's this planet, has these crystals that grow, and they use the crystals in a variety of different equipment around the galaxy to power everything from communications devices to massive musical instruments, that kind of thing. And the different crystals are keyed to pitch, and you have to have this perfect pitch in order to cut the crystal, because the device to cut the crystal out of the rock that it grows in is a tool that is like a laser tool that's keyed to musical notes. It's a kind of an interesting idea from a fantasy type of viewpoint. Anyways, I'm going somewhere with this, I promise. Anyways, the singer, because she has a perfect pitch, she's got a perfect ear, and she can tell if an engine is out of tune because it's keyed to the wrong, and she hears a dissonance in the engine. And out of curiosity, I looked into this because I read that particular book, I think that was in 8th grade, so it's been a few years. And I've read it again since then because I was curious to see if I remember it correctly, but digress. Anyways, I was curious at the time to see if this was a legit thing. Could anybody actually hear engines like that and really understand it? Well, at the time, more than now, mechanics, some mechanics at least, could actually hear engine trouble that way. Like they could hear the mechanics or the resonances within an engine, and could actually tell if something was wrong just by the tune or the sound of an engine, like the rhythms of it and the vibrato of it. I'm not describing it very well because I'm not using the right words, but it was just extraordinarily fascinating that there was something to that pitch thing. And so, it makes me wonder, why aren't we doing that now? Why aren't we tuning more of our world to pitch? Would we be healthier people if the devices in our home were tuned to the correct pitch for our day-to-day lives? I know music in general was changed in pitch or frequency back in the mid 1900s. I say that like it was a long time ago. Oh, my stars. I feel old suddenly. anyways, and the changing in frequency, which is pitch and has all of that to do with it, it became less comforting and more disruptive to our day-to-day lives. So, that pitch and frequency and harmonics has a lot to do with our ability to heal and our ability to be well. And yes, so yeah, figuring out who we are, not just in our spiritual path and being harmonious with ourselves, we need to remember that's important also when we're doing, trying to be consistent. So harmonious with our people. Yes. Quantum says is because the system profits from our illness, both mental and physical. Yeah, probably. Honestly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. So, anyways, journal. Keep it consistent. Do the little things. If you're making pancakes for the kids, draw runes on the pan as you're cooking and, pour your pancakes over them. I'll draw runes when in the gravy as I'm mixing it, as I'm stirring it up, or in the soup as I'm stirring, or, if I'm doing something like that, and it's just, constantly, doing the things just to stay in touch with my own spiritual path, because there's always something that wants to pull us away. There's always something that wants to distract us from the divine. Always. And it's not just our own ADHD, guys. There's always something that wants to distract us. So, that being said, I need to hop off. Apparently, I have grandkids coming to visit. So, and chores yet to do. It's always something, right? So anyways, when it comes to your spirituality and your spiritual path, regardless of which path you're on, keep it consistent. Do the little things. Set your intention in the morning before you even get out of bed. Don't say, oh, this is going to be a crappy day because you woke up in a grumpy mood. No, it's like, you know what? I woke up a little grumpy, but it's going to be a good day. Quantum says, if we understand frequency, it leads to divinity. The system can't have gods walking around. You're absolutely right. Quantum, it's good to meet you too, Quantum. So yes, if you can, yes, we can't have gods walking around and paying attention to us. But you know what? They're coming back and they are walking among us. They're going to have to deal with it. So there. But anyways, have a great day, you guys. We shall see you again. I'll try to be back here a little bit more regularly or drop you a 3-cent video. So thanks for joining today. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend for what's left of it. Or no, it just started? I don't know what day it is. They blur together. That's the other reason to set your intentions, so you can keep track of what's going on. So merry meet and merry part and merry meet again. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you.